If you've ever spent 10 minutes choosing something as simple as what to reply to a message, or what to order, or even whether to say yes or no, you've probably told yourself the same thing. Why am I making this such a big deal? Because logically, it isn't a big deal. But for some people, even the smallest decisions don't feel small. They feel loaded, like there's a right choice, a wrong one, and consequences you can't fully see yet. And most people don't realize that kind of overthinking usually isn't about the decision at all. People who overthink simple decisions often move through life in a very specific way. They reread texts before sending them, sometimes multiple times. They imagine how the other person might interpret each word, each tone, each pause. They hesitate before answering questions, even casual ones. What do you want to eat? Where do you want to go? What do you think? And instead of answering naturally, their mind starts scanning. What's the best answer? What if I choose wrong? What if this says something about me? So they pause. They delay. Sometimes they even avoid choosing altogether. On the surface, it looks like indecisiveness, but underneath, something else is happening. Because when a simple decision feels heavy, it usually means it's carrying more weight than it should. For a lot of people, overthinking starts as a form of self-protection, not from the decision itself, but from what might follow: judgment, disapproval, regret. At some point, often earlier in life, decisions weren't neutral. They were evaluated. Maybe you chose something and someone questioned it. Why would you do that? That doesn't make sense. You should have thought about it more. Or maybe mistakes weren't treated as normal. They were highlighted, remembered, repeated. So your brain learned something very quietly. Think more so you don't get it wrong. And over time, that thinking becomes constant, not because you're unsure of yourself, but because being wrong once felt like too much. This is why overthinking shows up in ways people don't always connect, like rewriting a simple message 5 times just to make sure it doesn't come across the wrong way, or feeling a strange pressure when someone says, "It's up to you," or even second-guessing decisions you've already made, replaying them later. Maybe I should have said it differently. Maybe that wasn't the best choice. It's not about perfection. It's about avoiding the feeling that comes with being wrong. And sometimes that feeling isn't just discomfort. It's embarrassment. It's rejection. It's the sense that you'll be seen differently. And here's where it gets interesting. Overthinking isn't really about thinking too much. It's about trying to control uncertainty. Because when decisions feel unpredictable, your mind steps in to reduce risk. It starts analyzing outcomes, predicting reactions, rehearsing possibilities, not because you enjoy it, but because unpredictability once felt unsafe. So instead of trusting the moment, you try to outthink it. But the more you try to control every outcome, the more pressure each decision starts to carry, even the smallest ones. Over time, this doesn't just affect decisions, it shapes how you see yourself. You might start believing you are just bad at choosing, or that you need more time than others, or that you can't rely on your instincts. But what's actually happening is something deeper. You've trained yourself to pause before being seen, to filter before expressing, to calculate before committing, not because you lack clarity, but because somewhere along the way, clarity didn't feel safe enough. So thinking became your buffer, your way of creating distance between you and being wrong. And that's the part most people miss. Overthinking simple decisions isn't a flaw in your personality. It's a pattern your mind built to protect you, to reduce mistakes, to avoid judgment, to keep things under control. That's not weakness. It's awareness that just never learned when to turn off. So when you notice yourself stuck on a small decision, pausing longer than necessary, going back and forth in your head, it might not be about the choice in front of you.
It might be about everything your mind is trying to prevent. Because for you, decisions were never just decisions. They were moments where you could get it right or feel something you learned to avoid. And once you start seeing that, the pattern becomes a little clearer. It was never random. It was learned. And awareness like that quietly changes how you understand yourself. If this explained something you've noticed in yourself, there's always more beneath the surface.